So, hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Lisa, and today's video is just going to be a bit of a hodgepodge. I wanted to give you an update. Um, so I took a break from my Pagan Pathworks for a while, and for a while I really thought to combine everything in just one channel and focus on one channel. And that the problem with that idea that I found in is that my Grey Wolf adornments is something that I created as an outlet for my creativity. The jewelry, the sewing, the crafts that I put on there, the notebooks and the journals. Some of that does bleed over. Like I have added all of my reusables and some of the natural stone jewelry to my Pagan Pathworks Facebook shop. And I just recently have been working on that. Because some things do bleed over. I do believe that the direction of my of Grey Wolf is going toward uh, recycled recycling, upcycling goods, just repurposing things to keep them out of the landfill. Those are the focuses of of my Grey Wolf business. And that concern, that natural concern for the environment, is also a part of my spirituality. But it's not. It still remains something that I just don't feel comfortable sharing my personal experiences with my spirituality on my Grey Wolf adornments channels. It remains a separate entity. It's different. Over here, the My Pagan Pathworks is the place that I created to share my spiritual experiences. So, so with all that said, I'm coming back to My Pagan Pathworks to share personal experiences, because I'm always evolving, and between the two surgeries that I've had, and I did write a blog this morning that I shared, but I also wanted to come and do a video about the whole thing. It's just that there was, and most people can talk this off as effects from the anesthetic, because I did get a an epidural during my first surgery, and a lot of people would chalk it off to because I was pretty sick in April when I had my first surgery, and but I just remember as I was going through that whole process, and as the nurses and stuff were taking care of me, I just remember very profoundly me being reminded or shown, do you see how much they think you're worth? Do you think that they would take such good care of you if they didn't think Oh, excuse me. If they didn't think I was worth it, but in a nutshell, it was. I was able to see myself through someone else's eyes, and understand that my own negative opinion from about myself was wrong. I it was reinforced by a very damaged ego, to be precise. It just was. I had spent years of my life hating myself for something that I had no control over. Um, so all of my negative self-talk um, just reinforced all of that. And so when I got to see my own self-worth for the first time, it's like my soul chose life. I could have easily died. That was major surgery. I got a scar that runs beneath my right beneath my diaphragm, all the way down the left side of my body to the very end of my rib cage, and I could have very easily died in under anesthetic, but I didn't. I chose life, and again, when it came time for me to have my second surgery in October, I was afraid I was going to go to sleep and not wake up again, because I just had got to a point where I was so physically discouraged that I was no longer sure that my soul would choose life. And then when push came to shove, I did. In fact, my soul chose life again, because even though they had to give me 2 pints of blood, I recovered. I woke up, and now I no longer have that threat of cancer holding over my head. I have been struggling to make some dietary changes. I gotta have some caffeine. Because I no longer have my spleen. I only have half my pancreas. So I have been struggling to eat a low carb diet, and sometimes that's very difficult. So, but overall, the surgery marks a rite of passage for me, so to speak. It marks the end of a transition for me. It is like the very last part of a whole journey through the dark night of the soul. I have faced my inner shadow. I have taken it out. I have dealt with all the ugliness. I have severed the cords with the toxicity that held me in place, and I have emerged into a new era of my life where I am not controlled by the past anymore. I've put a lot of karmic debt to bed and to rest. I have laid it down, and considered those debts paid in full. And so, and as I began to emerge, So my higher power is the Morgan. She has called me as her. She chose me. I didn't. I have called myself a Celtic witch for a long time, and really there's nothing further from the truth. I'm learning, because not by coincidence I found the Irish pagan school, and I have figured out I know next to nothing about the heritage I've been so proud of all my life. So you can see back there. See, bless this Irish home. I have grown up all of my life being told how Irish that we are, and hence that bless this Irish home. Um, when in reality, we something got lost in the translation. There is nothing about my family's culture that has translated into America. None of those Irish traditions, nothing translated in our family. And so I know next to nothing about the culture. I know next to nothing about the heritage, and I know next to nothing about the history or the just next to nothing. And so I don't call myself, I just call myself a pagan if I'm going to label myself. Right now, I just call myself a pagan, just because I'm, I'm definitely not Christian. That's for sure. I grew up in the church, that's for sure. But I stepped away from that path, and so now that have emerged from the dark night of the soul, and have probably the best version of myself that I can be right now. That's not to say that I don't have more work to do, because I do. There's always you never get life's a spiral. It's not a straight line. So things will come back to me that I need to readdress. But right now, I'm in a very good spot, mentally and physically and emotionally. And so what I have been asked to do now is actually learn the lore, and so that's how she guided me. And actually, that actually started before I had my last surgery, where but you can't. I mean, I have to say that as she's been infinitely more patient with me than one would have surmised, because I'm a procrastinator for one thing, and I have been very superficial for another. So she's been really patient, and she hasn't slapped me upside my head too much. Um, and I think it's just because it's a journey. It's been such a journey. It's been just to get through the dark night of the soul, to get me to a place where I would be open and have enough belief in myself to actually believe that it's real, and that this is within my ability to do. So she had to get me here first, before I could really be open to what I'm learning at the Irish pagan schools. So, and she had to get me past my own colonialism, because I am an American for sure. But that's not to say that um, my heritage is unimportant, because I feel, based on my own personal experiences, that it has been my Irish ancestors that have been reaching out to me, and that are my spirit guides, that keep pulling me in this direction to learn something real about my heritage, to learn something real, about this the people of Ireland, and the lovely country that if my great 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 grandfather hadn't immigrated here to America, I never would have been. Um, and so there's that connection to Ireland that's there through my genealogy, and that's how I came to want to know more about this. But I didn't even know who the Morgan was, and for a good long while. And then when she came knocking on the door, she like broke it down, and for a while I was really afraid to work with her, and and I told her that. Um, but that's not to say, I don't have fear now. I just understand that she's not here. She's not calling me to hurt me, and even though parts of the dark night of the soul hurt, in the long run, it was very beneficial for me. And so she will take you out of your comfort zone. That is for certain. But she hasn't been unreasonable with me. And so it's not unreasonable for her to ask me to take the next steps, um, to be more diligent in my studies at the Irish Pagan School, and to learn more of the lore and understand her as a deity and where she came from as a deity, because it's very hard to understand her and what she asks of you without understanding the culture that she comes from. And and I honestly did not understand that until recently. And so now that's where I'm at. And I think by far the first one of the really most amazing things that I have one of well, I guess it's not amazing, but it's understanding dawns why I'm attracted to some of these things, because for the first time that I learned the meaning behind the Triskelion, and with the Irish belief system, it's not it's similar, but it's not the whole air, fire, water, earth that you see with the pentagram, with the earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. With Irish paganism, it's more of a balance between um, earth and air and water, and where they meet is the entrance to the other world. And the other world in Irish culture is, or Irish paganism, is not the same thing as the underworld in like Greek mythology. It's different. It it's just the other world, and it's vastly fascinating to me, but it appeals and it explains so much as to why these symbols meant something to me before I even understood what they meant. And now that I'm learning what they meant, it's an even it's it's just, wow, the lights went on and there's someone home now. So anyway, I hope that you will stay with me on this journey. I've got stuff that I would like to share with you going forward. I'm sure there'll be a lot more lessons. That's usually the way this works. Sometimes I just get hit over the head with them because I'm stubborn, and sometimes I'm very superficial, and I don't like to dig deep. But overall, it's just it's just amazing. It's just amazing to me how much growth has happened. So I thank you so much for watching. I invite you to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And thank you so much for watching.